Look who we got here. The KUAM News Zoom room from the Guam Police Department, Sgt Paul Tapao. I guess first question, are there checkpoints tonight?
No, we have no scheduled BWI checkpoints to celebrate the 1 year hiatus of the bars and tavern. But it's my duty as a police officer, as a father, and of course a brother of the Guamanians. We, as a former crash investigator, I can never stress this too much to the community. For those of you that are going out to celebrate the openings of the bars and the tavern, we kindly ask and we greatly encourage that, you do your part. I mean, we did our part for a year, almost, during the pandemic and bringing the numbers down. And it's indicative of what we've actually done as a community. Sadly, over the weekend, we reported our second fatality. And again, as a former crash investigator from the Highway Patrol Division, that has always been our goal, was to really limit or to zero down our fatalities on the roadway. But, we anticipated the bars opening and, constant reminding the community that do your part, be responsible, and designate a responsible sober driver should you choose to indulge and celebrate and adult alcohol beverages. And again, with the passage of cannabis, it's always wise again to, designate a responsible driver. It's going to be some joyous times out there, come tonight or come 5 o'clock, but, rest assured, we still have our beat officers, we still have our COVID response task force, and we still have operations within the Guam Police Department that will be out and about. So please, the community of Guam, designate a responsible sober driver.
When you say out and about, GPD going to be making their rounds to the bars to make sure that they're complying with all of the safety guidelines, that nobody's dancing, nobody's singing along.
It's going to be interesting. I don't want to say challenging. I want to say interesting because, we've worked with Department of Public Health and Social Service, and I know the last time we had this interview, you had asked how many citations have we been issued, and I was able to get it, listen to Ms. Robidoux interview, and she mentioned that the courts have received 8 citations of violations. So, making our rounds with Department of Public Health and Social Service, our officers have been briefed about what we can do with, the executive order. And, it's going to be twofold, really. When you really look at it, the owners of the establishments are going to really do their due diligence in ensuring that everybody's safe, but they're also going to remind their patrons that, hey, don't screw this up for us, we waited a year. So, to be in full compliance, it's going to take time. I think, we do have the power of discretion in both, issuing a citation, of course, understanding some of the circumstances that may prevail as we open the bars and the taverns. But rest assured that, should any acts or incidents warrant an arrest, we will make and effectuate an arrest. We've been doing that since the pandemic. The MAGIC reports have been showing a significant uptick of DUI arrests, and of course with the possession of crystal methamphetamine. And it's unfortunate that, we were, the great, the good senator was talking about, crystal methamphetamine and so forth. But, should anything warrant the actions of the Guam Police Department, we can either issue a citation or use our discretion, issue a citation, of course, or effectuate an arrest. So, it's going to be interesting tonight. I don't want to say challenging, but it's going to be really interesting to see how we move forward after 1 year of, the hiatus of the bars and the taverns being open.
So you guys going to be busting people for like doing the Cabbage Patch or the Running Man or anything like that out on the dance floor? I mean,
you can cha-cha you can do the cha-cha 6 distance, 6 feet, 6 feet apart. But me, I like to get up close and personal. I love turning, I love holding, and
you're gonna get a ticket, Sarge. You're gonna get a ticket.
He likes to get up.
It's gonna be fun. I think everybody that has worked towards this, Mary Rhodes has been, I want to say, on a weekly basis with your show. That's really good, having the GHRA talk and having the awareness level. And I think that's really important, is the awareness level. We reached, I guess, a milestone from 1 year to where we are now. And we've had the reopening last year. And of course, it immediately shut down because of the high numbers. And of course, the second surge that happened with the positivities and stuff. So the bars, the restaurants, the whole industry has worked in doing their part. And we just ask the patrons to really adhere to the rules and regulation. And more importantly, be responsible. And, once you step out of the establishment and you venture into the roadways of Guam, we want to prevent any fatalities, but, we will, our officers will make arrests for any DUI infractions or DWI infractions.
All right. So let's go back. So GPD, they're going to be out and about, monitoring people out on the roads and things like that. So I did want to go into, is there any new information on that fatality that occurred over the weekend? Have there been any arrests or the identification of the individual that passed away?
Okay, so we have 2 fatalities that we reported, right? I want to highlight that we are waiting for one. We're waiting for one confirmation for the auto pedestrian fatality that happened in Route 10. So apparently we've made contact with a family member. We're just waiting to meet with the family member. There's some circumstances that happened during the transit from off island to the island of Guam. So we're going to wait for that, but it's assuring that we're able to make contact with that individual. Now, I'm going to, other than what was reported over the weekend with the 8-year-old victim, we've yet to identify, because we're still waiting for family members to really move forward with the next of kin and notifying them. And some of these cases too are waiting for an autopsy to be performed. So that's one of the things that we're waiting for. So once we get everything into in line with our investigators from the Highway Patrol Division, we should be putting more information to the media and the greater community.
So no arrests in either case?
Not at this time. No citation or arrest has been. This is an ongoing case in both the Route 10 auto pedestrian fatality and the 2 auto crash that occurred over the weekend in Route 16 Army Drive.
What about Michael Castro, the missing
We are
persons
still,
case?
We're going to continue to work that. That's not a cold case. I want to assure the family. I know the mom has, God bless her soul. We continue to make contact with her. Our investigators may, at one point during the course of the other investigations, such as the shooting incident that happened in Dedado, the recent shooting that happened in Agate, and of course the homicide or the death incident that happened in Santa Rita, may have taken the resources that were focused on that. Now we've pretty much closed those cases, and our investigators are moving back to the cases that they've been working on. But I think, moving forward with the Michael Castro missing persons investigation, she's been in communication, not just my understanding with the investigating officer, but also the supervisors and of course the respective commands. So, there's some dialogue and there's still communication going on with that case, but it's still classified as a missing person. So, we're back in full swing working those previous cases that our detectives were pulled from.
You mentioned the Agate shooting, so we had Anthony Ignacio arrested, the driver, and then we had Randy Analta, the alleged gunman. When he was busted and when he was picked up, captured in Agate, he had drugs in his backpack, right? And so we never really heard anything about like a motive as to why they went and shot Chai. Do you know, or can you say, was it drug related, or what was the reason behind?
Not to really expound, because of the fact that again, there's a due process, right? So we want to respect both the accused and of course the rights to due process. And of course, we go through this a lot, where the information that's shared with the Guam Police Department about a significant case, and of course, when an arrest has been made, moving forward with a magic report or a magistrate report, you have a greater information as to the motive as to why. And moving with Mr. Nalta's arrest, we've indicated that we've identified through the investigation that he was a part of the incident, or he was identified within the incident of the shooting of the 34-year-old victim. So I guess, the best thing that we can do is really wait, because again, our duty is to ensure that we get a conviction, and one of the rights of due process, we try not to really expound that where we may infringe or hamper the case moving forward for the prosecution side. But we were able to close that case. Now everything is now with the office of the Attorney General.
You know,
But with the motive, I don't have the information as to a motive behind the shooting incident that occurred down in Agate.
okay. You know, it doesn't really matter what P-Corps we're in. The Guam Police Department never stops working. But are there any changes to services that GPD is offering now that we're in P-Corps 3?
Other than the availability now of records and ID section open to walk-ins, that was released, I believe, a week ago, with the exception of firearms because of appointments that needs to be made. But, we are adjusting accordingly with the demands of the community. We were able to catch up in a timely manner. We had a backlog during the P-Corps 1, and of course, moving into appointments with the records and ID section with our services sites. The hardworking men and women, down at our records and ID section, and of course, our recreational boating and our Army division saw it was overwhelming to see the numbers of names that needed to be addressed and serviced to. And of course, in time, we were able to chip away and bring the numbers down to where we can now safely operate from 8 to 2 p.m. Walk-ins, and of course, for those with those constituents that are requesting police documents. Other than the changes with the added hours and of course availing the services to walk-in clients at the records and ID, we're going to adjust accordingly to see the needs and demands. And I think right now we're assessing the Army division, because there's a requirement for some face-to-face contact with the representative from the Guam Police Department and of course the constituent or the customer in getting questionnaires. So these are things in which we need to control and of course to ensure the safety, in such a manner. But other than with the Services Bureau side, the added additional hours and of course the added walk-in to our customers was the only thing that we made adjustment to service the community.
I got to ask, Paul, because we have been seeing a lot of different violent crimes happening on the island. But I'm wondering if you could just kind of go over the Castle Doctrine law for us, and what are my rights as a resident? I'm in my home, and someone tries to break in.
So you pretty much have the right to defend yourself. Retreating back into the home, locking, and in the event, this law, the Castle Doctrine law, gives you the right as a homeowner to properly defend yourself in accordance, all right, with prudent or knowledge that your life is endangered. So you have every right to defend yourself, so that you can safely either retreat or properly defend yourself within your home. So understanding the law in its entirety, it really protects you as a homeowner and you as an individual. There was some case precedents that was argued and of course brought forth with the Castle Doctrine on Guam. But this gives you the right as a homeowner to properly defend yourself with different means in ensuring that you and your family members are safe within the confines of your home. As it only deals with the home in itself. It doesn't deal with the yard or your exterior property, your your 2 doors, your 4 corner walls, and of course your windows. Should anything be breached and there's immediate threat to you and your family, you as a citizen, you have a right. And again, there's rooms for interpretation and how we determine the law or interpret the law. There's many other ways in which it can be interpreted, but in layman's terms, it's really you as a homeowner have the right to defend yourself.
So if I'm at my house and I'm just coming home and I'm getting out of my car and someone tries to attack me, would I be protected under the Castle Doctrine law?
If you're in your car?
Yeah, I'm pulling up to my house from work.
Depending
somebody...
So there are things that to consider, right? So it gives you it really, if you have reasonable belief, right, or prudently to think that your life is in danger, your first means is to escape, right? How can you escape? If being able to escape or flee further in is not an option because they've already penetrated the two doors and of course the four corner walls, that's when you can, things need to be the thought process of how to deploy CASA doctrine or, the interest. I mean, really, there's a lot of things to think about. And I think as a in layman's term, it's really a lot to process. So understanding the law, but if you have every means to escape, your best bet is to really escape. I can't say whether you're justified in which actions you take, because, we have to look at the full totality of everything, other circumstances that exist. These are things in which our investigators will look into, whether there was a means of escape or a means of retreat, or versus you had nowhere to go. This is the only confines that you know of. And of course, you felt there was a immediate threat to your body, to your safety, and of course, to your family members. So we have to look at the full totality of the circumstances that persisted with, or that is there or existed with the incident that has occurred or has happened.
By any chance, have you guys seen an increase in people applying for firearms permit or licenses?
I know because of the backlog and everything, and this is prior to COVID, that we are still working, and that's why we have yet to make the adjustments to the services side with the Army and the with the appointments and stuff, and we're still keeping at that. To take the stats and data to show that there was an increase because of this. If we look at what's happening nationwide, there's a shortage of ammunition because of the COVID situation that's happening nationwide. So people purchasing firearms in the States are experiencing the same problems that we're facing here as responsible gun owners, is purchasing ammunition and stuff. Now, whether there is an uptick based on what the perception of COVID was going to bring when it first, was when the outbreak first happened, people were doomsday, World War Z type of preparedness and everything, right? We don't know whether that was attributed to that. We don't know whether the backlog is attributed to pre-COVID, where people were still applying or were in the process of applying for firearms ID, is attributed to COVID because of the pandemic. There's a lot of factors that are being looked into that's happening stateside that's affecting everybody within the territories too. Like for us to purchase, me personally, to purchase certain ammunitions, it's challenging because the demand is so high in the greater continent United States versus, same thing here. So understanding whether it's attributed to the pandemic, it's really hard to gauge or tell.
No, I wasn't even thinking COVID. I was thinking like drugs, because drugs is just everywhere.
That's really hard to gauge. I mean, the beautiful thing about it is that there's a tedious process in which you have to go through. I think Guam has one of the more strict laws and requirements for obtaining a firearms ID. You go in continental US, you can just go to the gun shop, present a driver's license, and you're good to go with a firearm. Here, there's a waiting period. You do have to get some clearance and everything, fingerprints and stuff. So, we do have a strict requirement, and that's attributed to being a responsible gun owner in Guam. But, you do have those that don't want to follow the system or don't want to adhere to the laws, where they just purchase, are able to obtain a firearm unlawfully based on the fact that, it's accessible to them. But, again, to attribute that to one or two things, it's really hard to gauge it on.
Okay. Well, we're out of time, but we're just real quickly, because we did have a question from one of our viewers. It was due to the delay at DMV for the driver's license section. Would GPD honor the documents from driving schools if the individual has passed all courses and get an appointment soon enough?
Yep.
Yes.
We're still following the moratorium with DMV. We understand the backlog that they have. So you're still good to go so long as she has the supporting document.
All right.
Sergeant, I had one more because we had Daphne on, and Daphne had said that the Revenue tax is, they've implemented, I think, a 6-month waiver for vehicle registrations. So that means that people who have expired vehicle registration have up to 6 months to extend it. But I see in the Magis, a lot of the pullovers you guys get are from people with, expired tags. So is the Guam Police Department aware of this new guidance from Revenue tax? Okay.
Yes, we are. We follow the moratorium that's set for renewal and, of course, driver's license and vehicle registration. Okay. They give specific dates and months when and where. you are in that time frame. If you happen to have a tag that's showing 2019, I mean, it's good enough for us to say that, hey, this is way before the pandemic,
Right.
within that time frame. So, I mean, there are things that, we keep our command staff abreast. That's, of course, relate down to our respective supervisors and, of course, the patrol officers. So they're well aware of that. So, I mean, these are things in which we, understand that there is a pandemic, and of course the condition of where we are with the core levels and everything, and how to obtain a renewal of a driver's license or your vehicle registration. We follow that in accordance to where DMV is at, or Department of Motor Vehicle is at, and of course the licensing bureau for the revenue and taxation.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Roger that. You guys stay safe, man. It's going to be interesting tonight, so we'll keep you guys abreast if anything should happen.
I'll be
All right.
watching from the safety of my recliner.
Roger that.
Thank you, Sarge.
Take care, guys.
Okay,
All right, take
see
care.
you.
Stay safe.
Yep.